All right. Hey guys, welcome to our Sunday night power planning. We are going to get a lot done in a short period of time. So I hope you have a pen and paper, probably a calculator and a second device if possible. And as always, I am recording this. You can always go back, you can share it with your team, all that jazz. Before we dive into the week in front of us, I want to make sure that you guys are keeping track of the fact that we have a promo right now, and we still have 5 hours of this promo, 4.5-ish. Um, it is for new customers, 150 or more. They must use the promo code, but they can get a free bottle of Biotic. So this is a great, great, great way to help people start getting driving for free. I think our first, or at least I should say, my first instinct when they throw out something for new customers is like, ooh, who have I been talking to? But don't forget your happy thrivers who would love to be thriving for free. Make sure you're connecting with them and anybody that they know that could count as a referral, because that referral will be your customer. So for those of you working for the trip, any kind of leader retreat that maybe you're working for, or just your own personal PPA goal, that customer is yours, but it will be your existing customer's referral, which will get them closer to refer to, or maybe seal the deal. Maybe they already have one and they need a second. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of times we get really narrow with who we know or who we're talking to. And you're only going to know so many people, but everyone you know knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So make sure you're actually working your network, thus network marketing. Ta-da! Okay. So where's my notes? As always, we're going to start with rate of run. Being the 11th of the month, we're 2 auto ships in. So this is when it starts to get a little juicy. We actually start to see some numbers that are actually happening. So for those of you that have not done rate of run with us before, you're going to get logged into your cloud. Your rate of run is just going to give you an idea of how fast you're going. It's kind of like the speedometer on your car. It tells you, you're going 60 miles an hour. Well, if you actually stayed at 60 miles an hour for a whole hour, you would get 60 miles, right? So obviously some of you are going to have hills. Some of you are going to have other traffic. You might have to stop and start. So will you totally get 60 miles in 1 hour? Maybe not. Some of you might go above the 60 and actually do it. So it's just sort of a guide, but it's a really great guide. It helps give you an idea. To me, it's almost like when you Google directions on Google, and it's like, oh, you're going to arrive at 7:52. And I'm like, bet I'm going to get there at 7:50 or earlier, right? Like, so this is just kind of that thing that says, okay, here's where we think you're going to end. But now, do you need to go faster? Do you need to go harder to get to where you want to go? So to find out where we are with your rate of run, on that very main page in your cloud, you're going to go down to where it says My Business Dashboard. And the very first drop-down menu is the business snapshot. Go ahead and click that so that opens up for you. Below your PPA, there's a bar that says qualifications. In that block of information, you're going to see where it says current QV. You're going to take that dollar amount and you are going to divide it by 11, because we've done 11 days of the month already. So the new amount that you're looking at on your calculator is what you and your team have done on average so far every day this month. So if you continued at that average, so that's 60 miles an hour, right? If you continued at that average, we get, I almost hit 71. We get 31 days in this month. That must have been, I don't know, wishful thinking. So you're going to take the new number, multiply it by 31. So at that current rate, times 31, which is how many days in the month, the new total you're looking at is what you are estimated to end at, or that estimated arrival time. So is that where you want to end? Are you showing up late or showing up early? If you're showing up way ahead of your goal, then you need to up your goal. If on the 11th of the month, you're like way ahead, you need to up your goal. But if you're looking at it and you're like, wow, that's below where I want to end. Well, that tells you that you've got 20 days left to make miracles happen. And you guys, miracles happen in this business all the time in the last 24 to 48 hours. So if you have 20 whole days, you can move mountains, like legitimately move mountains. So that to me is just super important information for you to have. You now know where you are set to end the month at if you keep doing what you're doing. I just want to point out to you one for sure important date this week is Thursday. That's the 15th. That is an auto ship. Please, for the love of Pete, and I know I talk about this every week and you're probably sick and tired of me talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it again. Do not wait until Wednesday to message someone and said, hey, don't forget you have an auto ship tomorrow. Don't do that. Don't do that to them, and don't do that to yourself. Right now, we're going to go into your cloud still. Actually, let me stay. Okay. You're going to go into the menu this time, the three little dots or whatever. And you're going to click my team, go down to my customers. So at the top, you're going to see at the top of the spreadsheet, it says customer number, customer name, email. Scroll all the way to the far right where it says next auto ship and click on that box twice. That's going to populate everything by date. Go down, anybody that has a 7/15 auto ship, send them a message tonight or put them on your list of people to contact first thing in the morning tomorrow. Now, please remember, you're not going to send them a message and say, hey, Lisa, I saw you have an auto ship coming out this Thursday. Just wanted to remind you, click. Nope, we're not going to do that. You're going to peek a little bit first at the last time you talked to Lisa. I don't know about you guys, but I might talk to somebody in June, like early, June 10th. And then by July 10th, I don't remember everything we talked about. I just don't. But I will open up the message that I had with them and I will look back. Maybe back in June, the person was like, I think I want to try a different DFT. I think I'm ready for a new flavor. Hey, I think I want to, I don't know, whatever they told you. Or maybe they said back in June, they had just lost their job. They were really stressed out, but they were sticking with their auto ship, whatever. Like whatever conversation you had with them last is a great place to pick up. But also stalk their social media. See where have they been. Go to their stories, go to their page. Is it crickets? If so, and you haven't talked to them in a month, I would tread lightly, like, hey, I haven't talked to you in forever. How's it going? Last time we talked, you XYZ. Maybe they've been on vacation. Maybe you can ask how vacation was, how the kids are. I don't know. There's so many different directions the conversation can go, and it needs to go in a lot of different directions before it lands on the, hey, your auto ship conversation. Because again, you are here to help people, and you are not going to be able to help people if you don't know what the heck they need help with. So if you dive in and you start to, oh my gosh, you need this product, chill. It's so amazing and blah, 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 blah. And in reality, they just finally quit the worst job they ever had. They're getting to do the most best fun job they've ever had. They've never felt better. And now you're telling them they need a product called chill? No, right? You have to know where someone's at to know what you can help them with. So just make sure you start the conversations tonight or at least tomorrow morning with anybody that has an auto ship on the 15th, so that by Tuesday or Wednesday, you can gear, hey, we've been talking about all these vacations you have coming up. Maybe they want to stock up on extra product. Maybe they want to get some pro bars to travel with, or maybe they just came back from vacation and they were telling you how they just totally overdid it and had so much fun, but now they feel like dirt. Maybe now's a great time for them to add biotic or balance. Again, I don't know how the conversation is going to go. I just know if there's not a conversation, it's not going to go anywhere. So get something started so that you can connect with these people on a personal level so that you can be the person who gets them and helps them. Okay. So those are kind of the standard. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I think stops a lot of people. And I know sometimes it has stopped me in my tracks is sometimes I'm like Johnny on the spot and I know exactly what I want to post. I know exactly the vibe I have. And then other days I'm just like crickets, like my brain is focused on something else, or I just can't get in the mood with social media. Sometimes there's just so much stuff going on that you're like, oh, I don't even want to get on there. So what I want you to do is pull out a sheet of paper. If you're driving, just, put your thinking cap on and try to listen. If someone were to come up to me and say, oh my gosh, last night at work, the patient's mom came in, she was all mad about the blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't get it, right? I wouldn't get that. That is not a conversation that I'm going to be like, oh girl, I know exactly how you feel, right? I want you to think of conversations that if they pop up in life, you are immediately like, oh my gosh, I know exactly how you feel. Oh my gosh, exact, right? So, for example, a wife, right? Like somebody is like, oh my gosh, if my husband puts his clothes next to the hamper one more time, right? Like, those conversations, you're like, oh my gosh, girl, I get it. I feel that, right? That's a conversation you get. That's an aspect of your life that you are such an expert on that you're like, oh, we can talk about this all day, right? Those are the conversations I want you to think about. So just really quickly, I have 5 different kinds of conversations that I gave myself as something I'd be like, oh girl, I get it. One is a dog mom. Like if somebody said to me, oh my gosh, we were up all night long, the dog was throwing up, called the vet first, I'd be like, oh, I understand. Here's what we like. I would have a story, right? Like I'm gonna for sure have a dog mom story, a wife story. You know, I just gave you one, like a husband with like clothes next to the hamper, or my husband is like amazing on the grill. He's so awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, mine too. Like that's a wife story, right? So dog mom and wife. If anyone came to me and said, owning a small business in downtown Lebanon is the absolute pits, I'd be like, oh, pull up a chair and let's chit chat, right? So small business owner, that is something I am an expert on just from all these years of being a small business owner. Think of something maybe that not only could you pick up on the conversation, but maybe people ask you about a lot. And so one that came to my mind was people will send me messages all the time with like a picture of a dead plant or a dead flower and be like, what is this? What did I do wrong? How do I fix it? So gardening is like one of my things that I could talk about till I'm blue in the face. And then something that I love to talk about that I get to talk more and more and more about the longer I've been a promoter with Lavelle is travel. Like right now, I think one of the hot topics with travel are all the airline cancellations. Like it's such a pain in the butt right now, but I can talk about that because I'm dealing with it. I'm lucky enough to have that problem, right? So if somebody was like, oh, Delta canceled my flight, I don't know what to do, I could be like, oh my gosh, I had the same problem. So those are 5 things that I know for a fact, if they came up at a cocktail party, I could totally dive in on those conversations, right? So what are your 5 conversations that you could dive in on? I want you to think about that. What is a topic that could come up at a girl's lunch, soccer game, a work outing, whatever, wherever, church, somebody's chit-chatting about something. What is a conversation that obviously, like I'm looking at Sonia, obviously if someone was like, oh my gosh, I just put this new part on my bike and it didn't go on there right, I struggle with it so much, she would be like, oh, I had a problem like that too, but here's who I called, here's how they helped me, or here's where I bought my part. Like that's a conversation she could totally dive into, right? Shantae is a small business owner. That is something she could totally talk about, the ups and downs. Olivia is like the queen mom, right? She's the queen mom of this. As far as I'm concerned, she is the queen mother of all of the teams because she's got a ton of kids. So if anybody was going to bring up a poopy diaper, getting back and forth to different games, like that, Olivia would be like, mom, like she is a mom, right? So are you having trouble identifying your 5 conversations, or can you come up with at least 2 or 3 right now that you're like, yep, those are conversations I can be a part of? Anybody? Yeah. You can unmute, you can do whatever if you need help. If you want Sonia's having a bit of trouble. Okay, well, this one might be hard, but right off the bat, I know several people on the team who, if someone said, oh my gosh, I just lost my parent, that is a conversation that you can talk about, right? Like that is a level, that is something that you know. Difficulty, yeah, Sandra, if somebody said to you, my kid is really struggling in school, you'd be like, oh, yes, you know, I dealt with that, here's what we did, all those things. Because here's what I'm trying to get at. You guys are all experts at something, whether you want to be an expert at it or not. I'm an expert in infertility. Not exactly something I was like, woohoo, let's do that someday, right? But I could, if someone said to me, I'm struggling to have a baby, I'd be like, you know what? I'll listen. Let's talk. That is something I could be an expert on with someone, right? Stylist, sports mom, empty nester. Yes. Lisa, empty nest mom. You know what? That's so funny because I was thinking earlier about this whole dog mom thing. Like we get to choose when we're an empty nester. Like not that we kick them out or anything, but like you can choose whether you're going to get another dog or not. Like you can't just like choose to go get another kid. I mean, you can adopt, but at a certain age, you're like, do I want to do that? But I was thinking about the whole empty nest thing I don't know why, but that popped in my head today. Okay. Yes. Dog mom, addiction. Yes. There are so many people that struggle with addiction, or they have family members struggling with addiction, and it's the addiction on their end. And so that is something that people want to talk about. Dog mom, cooking, burning food, taking care of parents from afar. Yes. Dog mom, toddler trouble. Livy says, I love lady mamas who lost their babies, pour their heart out and then comfort them. And again, not a topic she ever wanted to be an expert on, but life handed her that. And it is now part of her who she is, what she knows. So I think some of the ones that I rattled off are obviously like the easy ones. Like people know I have dogs, people know I love to garden. But yeah, like talking about infertility, getting out of a toxic, abusive marriage. There are a lot of things that people have gone through in this world that you may not know about because they're not sharing that. They're not opening up to who they really are. I want you to think about the good, the bad, the ugly, jot them all down, and then go through and pick at least 3 to 5 that you're like, yeah, I really am an expert on that. It's not something I wanted to necessarily be. It's maybe not something I ever thought I would be an expert on. Or maybe it's like, like for me, like traveling. Okay. Like, so when Tom and I got married, our honeymoon, I had to take a little white pill to get on the plane because I was so freaked out. And now I'm like, let's book a flight. Let's go someplace. So there's a switch in life. Like, so being, like loving to travel, that is not something I ever thought would have been on my list because so many years ago, 8 years ago, it would not have been. So think about things like that. And here's why I want you to think about that. When you really start to put yourself in those 3 to 5 categories and you keep yourself there, it makes it so much easier to do your social media posts, whether it be a picture with the post, whether it be a video, a story. If you just keep yourself in those categories that you truly are an expert on and just flourish, I guess, in that realm, you will find it so much easier to decide what to post. I think a lot of times we start to struggle with, and I know I was like this early on with stories. To me, a story was supposed to be live in the moment. Here's what I'm doing. Well, not everybody cares, right? But if you have people who started following, like for example, for me, if I do a live or I do a story out in my garden and I'm showing a flower, maybe one I killed because I didn't know what to do, or maybe one that I killed a few years ago and now I know what to do with it. If I'm sharing something like that, people who love gardening or flowers are going to start coming back to my page, right? They're going to start coming back for my story. They're going to come back to see pictures of that. If there are other crazy dog moms, they're going to come back for my stuff. But if one day they're on my page and I'm talking about, I don't know, laundry detergent, and the next day I'm talking about whatever, I don't know, like if you're just all over the board, it's okay to have multiple interests, but to start really getting people attracted to you, you got to be a bit more specific about what you're sharing with the world. So it's not so much like sharing all of this, right? You're just going to share this, but you're going to go deep with it. You're going to talk about backstories, current stories, other people's stories that you've encountered with it, things like that. So the reason that I want to make sure that you guys start thinking this way is if, for example, I'm going to go back to the 5 I had. So small business owner and travel obsessed. Those are not typically 2 things that go together. Most of the time, if you're a small business owner, you don't get to travel much at all because it's expensive. And when you're gone, your business can't make money. I could easily talk about how, as a small business owner, because of my Lavelle income, I now can travel and still earn money while being gone, right? I could talk about, obviously, like, I think whenever I look at the word wife, it just makes me chuckle because I'm like, being like getting started on Thrive makes you a better person, which makes you a better wife. So that's where you can, maybe you want to talk about how I used to think that if I saw my husband's clothes next to the hamper one more time, I was going to kill him. And now I'm just like, whoo, thanks, Black Label. And I just put it in the laundry. Like, I don't know, like whatever. But you can take those things that are your life and you can incorporate your Thrive into it. I think a lot of times people are like, how do I put Thrive in here? How do I post about Thrive? I'm just going to throw up a graphic of the 3 steps. And I'm not saying there's not a place and time for that. But if you could actually start showing that life is that Thrive is part of your every single day, Thrive is part of everything that you've ever been to, everything you've ever been a part of. Like for example, infertility. I didn't even know what Thrive was back when I was going through all of that. But because of Thrive, I have met other women who have been through that. And I know women who are going through it now. And because of that connection through the company, I have that community that I can share with, right? So again, it's not that I was like, oh yeah, I'm a Thriver now and I can talk about this. Like It's just how it changes your life. So if you can come up with the 3 to 5, and I know like I'm spitting this out at you like it's super easy to do, but I will say it is pretty easy to do. Don't overthink it. Like that's why I try to word it like, what conversation can come up that you're like, yeah, I got you, girl. I know how you feel. This one time, blah, 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 right? That's something you're an expert on. So, you know, a lot of people worry about, what's the product and what's in it and how's it made? It doesn't matter, right? You hear that all the time. It doesn't matter. You guys, I know all that stuff and it does not matter. That does not make my business any better or any different than you. Yes, I can have conversations about it, but that's not really the fun conversations. So you need to have conversations about your life and make sure that the thrive is in your life, not like a sticker on top of your life, right? Not a stamp, not a, you know, thing of confetti of thrive that just got thrown out one afternoon. Like, it is part of who you are and what you do. So when you start to put yourself in those categories, then it becomes so much easier to be like, okay, on Monday, if I were to talk about my dog mom life as a thriver, I could talk about, and all of you know this already just from my stories, Lucy and her love for waking up she has dog dementia. Like, she's up all the time. Thank God for Thrive. Like, thank God for Thrive. Tuesday, I could talk about being a wife and my patience and how, like, because the dog would have kept me up, I would normally be really snippy, but you know, we're not, because we're both thriving and we both feel good. And even though we might look at each other and be like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of bed today, we know when we take our thrive, we'll be up and going in like 10 minutes, right? So do you see how it just makes posting and planning out what you're going to say so much easier versus reacting to what happened today or what happened last week? Like, you can stay in with your group, your community. You're going to hear words like attraction marketing so often. And basically what it means is you're attracting people to you. So remember, if you want to attract a large group of people to you, you have to be consistent in what they're attracted to. Like, think of a moth flying, and if there's all these lights, it's just going to bing all over the place, right? It's just bing, 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 I don't even know what to do. But if there's just one bright shining light, that's where it's going to go. So you need to think of your topics, your expert topics, as the shining light that's attracting people to you. Don't let them get confused. Don't be like, last week when I was on here, this girl was out west riding on her Harley and like, it was the coolest thing ever. And now, I don't know, maybe she sold it. I haven't seen anything about her Harley in months. And I'm totally picking on you, Sonia. And I know you've posted about your Harley, but you're just easy to pick on because that's such a good topic. So you see what I'm saying though? That way you can be consistent. Like, if you know that, like, again, Sonia, you're a Harley girl, that Harley should show up in your feed at least once a week, if not 3 times a week, because it's those biker babes who are finally established enough with enough money to have a bike, right? How many young girls want to have a motorcycle but can't afford it, right? So they finally can do it. They are strong enough physically and mentally to travel and go see things on their own. Like, that's the women you want, right? Those are people who have a lust for life. And you know, it's very physical to ride that bike. And you know, when you wake up in the morning in a hotel and you've ridden the whole day before and you've got a whole day to ride in front of you, as excited as you are, your body hurts a little bit. But you know, if you take your Thrive, that's going to get you through, right? So see how that, like, so like Sandra, I'm thinking of you and the grandkids. Like, I know they wear you out. They're a lot, like, they're precious, but they're a lot. And so that is easily something you can talk about, right? Like, so think about your day-to-day life and get real specific with what you want to share, because then when it comes to what you're posting, the people who are going to start hearting it, commenting on it, that you can then send messages to because maybe they've voted on a poll in your story. You know, I've got the grandbabies this weekend and I want to keep them busy between X, Y, and Z. Where would you go? Have a poll. Who's going to vote on that? Moms and grandmas who have kept babies busy. Those are your ideal customers, right? Sonia, I'm going to take another trip. This time we're going to go to the East Coast. What can I not miss? Those are people who travel on Harleys or whatever, motorcycles, or, right? Those are the people you want to talk with. So don't get caught up in, I got to talk about health and wellness all the time, right? Everything we do in life depends on us being healthy and well. Everything. Whether you go to a job that you hate or you get to fly on jets for free. If you are not healthy and well, it doesn't matter. So keep in mind that every part of your life Thrive obviously touches, and you can help touch every part of someone else's life because of the health and wellness aspect. You don't always have to be a health and wellness guru, I guess is what I'm getting at. Anyway, I kind of rambled a lot, I guess, looking at the time. But does that help? Like for me, it just helps so much if I keep track of what I'm sharing to, and I don't have to be like, what do I want to talk about today? Like, because I have those moments, like, what do I want to talk about today? And I've talked about this before, and this is another way of doing it. And I do this is how we do our social media for our garbage can cleaning business. That is a service that we provide. It is one thing, right? So if Thrive was literally one pill and that's all you ever had to talk about, that gets a little like redundant, right? So I mix it up with Makeover Monday, Testimonial Tuesday, Work It Wednesday, Thrifty Thursday, Funny Friday. So we're always talking about our business, our garbage can cleaning business in some way, shape, or form, but I mix it up with the theme. And so if that's where you are, maybe you're not sure with your interest yet, but you can at least keep something going with a theme. You can try something like that. Like I know we have a lot of Wellness Wednesdays, Thankful Thursdays, things like Flex Friday. You can totally do stuff like that. But eventually your Flex Friday, so eventually on your Flex Friday, Sandra could be flexing with a baby in her arm, a grandbaby, right? Sonia could be flexing on her bike, right? So eventually your generic Flex Friday becomes you and your Flex Friday, right? Like I know everyone loves Chastity and I do too. And thank God she's pushed through everything she's pushed through to still be here. But Chastity shows herself working out on Fridays, flexing. That's Chastity, that's her gig. But that's not necessarily yours. So don't ever feel like I can't do Flex Friday because I'm not working out today. No, flex your life. Flex what you're doing. I can flex holding Alyssa with her by her ankle upside down. Yes, please, for a long time. And then eventually she can do handstands when she's older and you can just hold a leg. That's perfect. So again, that's like the ultimate mom, right? Like she can be flexing by holding a child upside down. Like that to me is the queen mom right there. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys plan out because I know we're all about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But one of the things that I think stops a lot of people is that 3. When you get to that 3 social media posts, you're like, I don't know what to post about. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how many times and blah, blah, blah. Like you could post 12 times a day. And if they're all over the board and they're not getting into anyone's attention, it doesn't matter. Or you could post once a day, but it could be a really strong post written to the person you're trying to talk to. And that may be all you need. Like talk about less stress, knowing I just have to have one strong post and then some stories, right? Maybe a reel / TikTok. And again, like when you go into something like TikToks or reels for the first time, it's overwhelming. What the hell, what TikTok am I going to make? Right? Like, I don't know. Well, so today I sat down with my little list, right? Dog mom was the first one. I actually typed in the hashtag dog mom on TikTok, watched several till I found a sound. They call it a sound audio. And I was like, yeah, perfect. So sometimes when you're learning something new like that, you got to sit down and figure it out. Like technically you got to figure out like, what buttons do I push? How do I do this? Which I shared a video about that in Dream Team. And the guy was awesome. He explained it after I watched that. I totally knew how to do it. So don't say you can't figure it out because you can. If not, find that video. But when you get on TikTok, there's a million topics. So if you just suddenly are a million topics, you're just going to get into the flow. But if you are the dog mom, or you are the Harley girl, or you're the empty nester, right? You have a direction. It can be all the different audios, but it's in the same direction. And it's going to keep the same group of people coming back to learn more about you. So just think, like, I think people call this the 5s or something like that, where they say, you know, what are 5 things that are like you or your identity? And I think that throws a lot of people off, like my identity. Oh my gosh, it's not that hard. What are 5 things that you could talk about without having to Google? Like you would talk about it so much, so fast that you wouldn't even take a break, like to catch air, right? Like, what are those things that you could talk about? Those are your 5. And those are the things that you put your focus on, those, and drip your thrive in it, or wrap it all around, like stir it up. I love the post when the thrive is stirred in there so deep that there's literally no way to take it out. You know, like sometimes there's like a post where you're like, I don't know, where you can just tell like they're talking about this, oh, and my thrive. And it could literally been chopped in half. But then there's the ones where you're like, oh, that's right. Everything about that post is only happening in this person's life because they are healthy and well. Right? All right. So that's just what I'm going to leave you with today. That's what I'm leaving you with. So I hope that was helpful. And for those of you on my team, actually any team, because I'm going to share it with all of them, Jennifer Zant is actually going to do the Dream Team Zoom tomorrow night for my team. So I'll share that from Susan's line on down. And you guys are all welcome to hop on there. Anytime we have a special guest like that, I just feel like we should open it up to anybody and everybody. So with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.